All right, let's talk about something I think we've all been through. You get this awesome idea to grow your own food inside, right? You're picturing fresh herbs for your cooking, maybe some salads, and then a few weeks later, you're just looking at a sad, kind of pathetic wilted plant. It is so frustrating. But what if I told you that the problem, well, it's actually not you? Let's get into it.
You know, this quote from Gardenary just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that feeling. You see all these gorgeous indoor gardens online, you try to do it yourself, and the results are just, so disappointing. But you're not alone. It's a super common struggle, and today we're going to unpack exactly why it happens and, more importantly, how you can sidestep it entirely.
There's actually a name for this whole experience, the indoor gardening paradox. I love that. It's that huge gap between our dream of having fresh, homegrown food right at our fingertips and the crushing reality of feeling like you have a black thumb. Seriously, this feeling of failure is so universal, it's a recognized concept.
And here's where it all clicks. The whole thing gets especially tough indoors because, let's be honest, almost all gardening advice assumes you've got a backyard. It's written for people with tons of space, great airflow, and all the daylight in the world, which, most kitchens and apartments just don't have. So we're basically set up to fail before we even plant a single seed.
But what if we've been looking at this completely backward? What if the problem has nothing to do with your skill, your so-called green thumb, but it's actually about the game you're trying to play? Maybe we're just playing the wrong game, one with a rulebook that's impossible to follow indoors.
And that brings us to our first big idea. The secret to why microgreens just work where other plants fail, it all comes down to their biology. They are literally built to be independent, right from the very beginning.
This right here is the magic trick: nutrient independence. For the first 1 to 3 weeks of its life, a microgreen is basically a self-contained little power pack. Everything it needs to grow, all the food, all the energy, is already packed right inside its own seed. It doesn't need you to give it fancy soil or special fertilizers. It's got it covered.
So when you put that little self-sufficient seedling up against a mature plant, like a tomato plant or something, you start to see just how different they are. We're talking about two completely different worlds of needs.
This table breaks it all down so clearly. A tomato plant, that's like a 90-day marathon. It's constantly demanding the right nutrients from the soil, and if you mess up, you get things like nutrient burn or pests. A microgreen, it's a sprint. It feeds itself from its own seed, and you're harvesting it in about 10 days. The chance of failure just plummets because the whole system is so simple and self-reliant.
Okay, so the biology is totally on our side, but there's another reason this works so well, and it's just as powerful. It's all about how microgreens play into our own human psychology. Let's look at how this works.
Like Alonda Green says here, traditional gardening is the ultimate test of patience. It is all about delayed gratification. You plant a seed, and then you wait, and you wait. And in our world of instant everything, that huge delay can feel like an absolute eternity. If things go wrong during that time, it's just so easy to give up.
Microgreens totally flip that on its head. They act as what you might call a self-efficacy incubator. Now, self-efficacy is just a fancy term for your belief that you can actually do something successfully. Microgreens build that belief fast by giving you quick, obvious proof that you're succeeding, creating this awesome positive feedback loop.
I mean, just look at this timeline. In only 2 days, you see signs of life. That's your first win. By day 5, you've got actual green leaves you can see growing every day. And by day 10, you are literally harvesting your own food. Every single one of these steps gives you a little hit of dopamine that makes you feel good, builds your confidence, and turns you into someone who knows they can grow things. It makes it fun, not a chore.
So, this brings us to our third, and maybe the most mind-blowing idea of all. The incredible speed of the microgreen system isn't just good for our motivation. It's a built-in defense mechanism that helps it physically outrun the things that usually cause us to fail.
So, if you've ever had a houseplant, you've probably met these little guys, fungus gnats. They're one of the most annoying indoor pests. But here's the thing about them. They have a life cycle. It takes them a few weeks to actually lay eggs, hatch, and build up a big enough army to really hurt your plants.
And this is just brilliant. It's an idea called temporal escape. The pest, the fungus gnat, needs somewhere between 17 and 28 days to create its next generation. But our microgreens? We're harvesting them in 7 to 14 days. We're literally yanking the entire crop out of the system before the pests can even finish one full life cycle. They never get a foothold.
So think about what this means. The point isn't to become some kind of expert on pest control, no! You're sidestepping the fight completely. The system itself is designed so you can just harvest your success before the problems even have a chance to show up. It is such a brilliant built-in advantage.
So let's wrap this all up. What you have here is a perfect system. You've got the biology, where the plant takes care of itself. You've got the psychology, where you get these fast, confidence-boosting wins. And you've got the environment, where the super-fast timeline means you outrun the most common problems. All three of these things work together to create a system that is just fundamentally designed for you to succeed.
And this isn't just some nice theory either. This is a real-world project from Drexel University. They put together this mobile microgreens cart to give students access to fresh, healthy food, right in a university hallway. And it works because it's cheap, it's easy, and it gives them a real harvest every 10 days. It's proof that this system is so simple and reliable, it can be used to help solve big issues like food insecurity.
So, the next time you hear that little voice in your head talking about your black thumb, I want you to remember this. Success with this stuff isn't about some magical skill you're born with. It's about choosing the right game to play. And microgreens, that is the game. It's a system literally designed from the ground up for you to win. Now, if you're curious and you want to see the practical side of getting started, we've linked a really great article down in the description that'll walk you through everything. Thanks so much for tuning in.